Alright, so today is Friday, December 26th, 2025. It's currently like 8, what? Come on. 8:13 in the morning. Been home from work from maybe a half hour. Walked him. And I was doing something else. Something I'll talk about here in a minute. But it had to deal with this catastrophe over here. Can't call her a catastrophe anymore, so I'll get to that in a minute. Anyways, I'm going to talk about work for a second. Work was 15 pallets total. 3 went to meat, so that meant 12 for produce. And I got it down to what, 1? I didn't really do that one. So 2, 5, 6 pallets out of 15, or out of 12. So technically half the load. 1 was bananas, 2 were bananas, and it had like watermelon and potatoes on the top. Something they could easily wipe out. It was pretty much all overstocked except for the potatoes. I didn't really feel like doing potatoes twice in one night because the truck showed up at midnight. So that gave me ample time to cold. I went through and I threw away about $1,000 worth of produce last night, and that hurt, but it was like it needed to be done. So it is what it is. But anyways, it gave me enough time to go through the grapes, most of the tables, just to get the cold out. But yeah, then the truck showed up and it was 1.5 solids, which half of it didn't go out, and it ended up on a pallet because it was actually 3/4 of it didn't go out, so it ended up on a pallet for them to bin. Then I moved on to the wet wall like I always do. That was 2 pallets that ended up making 1.5, and I was just like, yep, done. And then, yeah. And then, it was like a 1/4 pallet, not even a 1/4 pallet, like 1/10 of a pallet of berries mixed in with all the citrus and the apples, which quickly I decimated quickly. It was simple, which allowed me enough time to move on to the dry, which got that done, and I was done by 4. So basically in 4 hours I worked 10 pallets. Well, see, I got rid of 5, so 5. So then I worked 1, 2, 3 that are left in the cooler. The 3 that are left in the cooler plus the 1 dry. So I left them like 5 pallets. I worked and got rid of over half the load. And the sad part about it is, realistically, nobody's actually grateful that I do this work, and it just pisses me off half the time that I can get it done and just move on, and I just want to be left alone. So it is what it is. But anyways, I don't know. So one of the things I was doing before work, and it actually got me happy, it got me excited, is I was working on this again today, or last night, before I left for work, trying to get the cutter to work so I can do the multi-print. I don't know exactly what I did, but I've got it all working. This all works together. Let me show you. So this is the test print I did. I did it on the black Creality PLA, and then with my Sunlu red, I wanted to do a red and black. This is the test print. I mean, I don't know how well you can see that, but I think it looks pretty good. So, other than how I had it orientated, and this is a piece I don't really need, I just wanted to test. But yeah, it got it all up and running. I got everything I need done, almost everything. The one problem I have now is, like I said, it's got the Creality filament and the Sunlu filament. The problem I'm having is I think the diameter on the Creality is bigger. Let me see if I can find that piece. I doubt I can. There's a box of supports and stuff that eventually I want to turn into something else. But like I said, it's printing. Anyways, I can't find that piece, whatever I did with it. I need to fully reassemble it now that I know that it's working. But one of the things it was doing, it's doing with the Creality filament, is it's actually chomping down. It's getting stuck in the extruder wheel of the CFS down below, because I guess it's too thick of a diameter, so it's just chewing at the wheel, on the wheel. The piece of filament I ended up cutting off of this before putting back for some stupid reason had a big groove in it, and I noticed it in the tube. I was like, whoa, what the hell, that's gonna jam or something. But luckily it was done printing that color. So one of the things I'm going to do, since it doesn't seem to do it on the Sunwoo, and this is verified through a Google search, it's not doing that. I think this is a slightly smaller diameter, and I actually really like the color, well, at least the red, whatever. That red is a nice solid red, so I think I'm going to stick with the red PLU. And or the Sunwoo anyways. I like the color. And so now the goal is to figure out how to print in multicolors, because I don't want, another one fell. I don't, let me see if I can see this up here. Okay, yeah, another one fell. I don't want to print paint anymore. I actually want to be able to take a solid piece, say like this, and add the colors and the colors to highlight what I need on there, instead of having to paint it on. And that's something I have to do on the computer, so it is what it is. But I'm happy this thing, I finally got it up and running the way I wanted. And now I'm thinking about getting a storage unit, figuring out how to build it up to where I have a second, or even, that was weird, it cut off, a second or third CFS system, so that way I can run 8 or 12 to 16 different colors and just have it just autofill for whatever projects I'm working on, instead of having to swap filament or do whatever and then have to change the configuration in the printer itself and in the computer. So yeah. Anyways, I don't really have much else to say today, so I shall cut it out here, and yeah, I'm gonna watch some TV, watch some Scrubs, and eat some dinner, and I'm gonna go to bed and go to the gym and figure it all out tomorrow. So I shall catch you all tomorrow, I guess. Later. GoPro, stop recording. GoPro, stop recording.